Hello and welcome to a mini episode of Predictocast, the podcast where we predict a movie storyline after watching only the first 10 minutes. I'm Josh, and with me as always is Skinner. Hey, Skinner.
Hey, Josh. Hey, everybody.
On these mini episodes, we like to get the predictions started early by revealing the name of the film we'll be discussing and then predicting the movie story based solely on the title. And the movie that we're covering next week on the show is Lady Ice.
Ooh.
From 1973. We do things around here. If you've been listening to the show long enough, you understand that we do things a very specific way on Predictocast. You know, the whole goal of the show is to know nothing about the movies we're going into, so we can be surprised, so we can have some fun, so we can test our powers of prediction. And that leads to us picking movies based on titles a lot. And I think this is a great example of that, because the title Lady Ice is so fun and weird and like provocative, and it gives you all kinds of ideas.
Oh, my lovely Lady Ice. I'm so excited for it. Well, you gave me we had a list of movies that we were considering, and no themes. I know we just did Darkman all last month, broke our rules for one of the episodes, blah, blah, blah. Go into our back catalog. I apologize. We try to keep our gimmick 95 to somewhere between 95% of the time and 45% of the time. But
yeah.
He said he listened to us, and it just stuck out. I know book by the cover, movie by the title, but Lady Ice, oh, that's provocative. Just a great name for a movie.
Yes, it is. And before we get into what we think the film might be about based on that title, we have something else we have to announce too, which is very exciting for us. Next week on the show, on both episodes, we're going to be joined by Dan McCoy from the Flop-House podcast.
Right. He bought in on Lady Ice. We said, do you want in on this Lady Ice? He's like, I want in on this Lady Ice. We're like, well, usually for the guests, we don't ask them to come down on both shows. That's a big ask for people. Everyone's busy. And, he's a Daily Show writer. He's got his own podcast. He's full of maximum busyness and maximum fun. But he's like, no, I want in on both parts. We obviously didn't have him for 3 parts because that would be just ridiculous. But we do have, it is nice. We've been nice to have him on the show. I'm excited for him to experience Lady Ice with us. I really hope it's not boring. This is true of any guest we have on.
Yes, absolally.
I get so
afraid. So
I get so afraid. Even when it's just friends of the show, friendly podcast, anyone, I get so nervous. Like, oh shit, I had to look Phil in the eye one day and say, hey, remember when we made you watch Power 98? But, Dan's doing us a big favor. I hope Lady Ice does not disappoint.
Oh, yes, absolutely. And I think we have, it's kind of appropriate that Dan is coming on. He's a bit of a podcast celebrity. And this movie, we don't like to do any kind of research, but it's got some big celebrities in it. It's got Donald Sutherland and Robert Duvall in this movie. And this is from 1973. So this is fairly early on in their careers. Like that's pretty exciting, because I don't know if we've done any films with Robert Duvall or Donald Sutherland in them, at least as far as I remember. And so it's cool to be able to get these like bigger stars early on in their career in movies that maybe a lot of people don't know about. That's kind of the fun part of this show is being able to do these movies that you never heard of, but it stars people that you like. So I'm pumped about that.
I'm so excited that we're doing this back in the 70s. And the funny thing with the 70s movies is that they are at a totally different pace than anything current. Like 80s movies I'm used to, 90s movies we're all used to because they just never go away. And obviously 2000s and to today all have a certain timing and just not predictability. But if you're good like we are, when you have your own podcast with predicting, they're generally
lots of predictability.
There's a lot of predictability. 70s movies will just wander around for a while, and you don't often know where they're going to go because you don't like 70s era movies. Like if say it's a horror movie, it's before slashers or something. A 70s movie may not tell you it's a horror movie for 45 minutes. It just might set a pace of, romance or people just sitting around talking or sexual deviancy, 70s style. And then 45 to 56 minutes in, oh, there's a goblin in this movie. And you're like, what the fuck is this goblin doing in this movie? And they're like, it's always been a goblin movie. It's like, that's what the 70s is about. I'm glad if we're going to do 70s, we have, I feel like if you're going to do a 70s movie that's weird or fun, you got to have Donald Sutherland in it. You just gotta.
Yes. All right. So let's we've gotten all the important business out of the way. We're excited to have Dan McCoy on the show. And we're really pumped about talking about Donald Sutherland and Robert Duvall in early films of their career. But what the fuck's Lady Ice about? That title, so provocative. Is it about a woman, Mr. Freeze? Let's just get that out of the way now. Is this an early Batman movie?
Is this an early Batman movie? Is this an early Mrs. Freeze, Ms. Freeze? I don't know. If this was an 80s movie, and you told me it was named Lady Ice, it's either somebody who has ice superpowers, like a Mrs. Freeze.
Oh, okay.
Or it's about somebody who is possibly either does a lot of cocaine or is made of cocaine. Physically made of cocaine.
Is ice only cocaine or is it heroin too? I'm not up on my drug lingo, sadly.
I want you to keep talking about this because it's going to amuse me, if not the audience.
I can't. I don't. All right, let me look up the drug slang code words. Here we are at the Alcohol and Drug Foundation. It's crystal meth is ice, so it's not cocaine.
Come on. Snow is cocaine.
Lady
snow?
Lady Ice is about a person who does lots of crystal meth.
This is the most crystal meth. Let's go to, besides this drug dictionary that you're on. Let's consult the other experts out there. What was Ice in Ice Ice Baby by Vanilla Ice? What was the ice in Vanilla Ice about? What was it physically? Was it ice in his veins? Was he?
It was his. It was his hair. It was frozen up in that great hairstyle he had.
Every morning, he just got it soaking wet and then just walked into a freezer.
Yes, that's exactly how he did it. Everybody wanted to know, and that was it. He
good.
had a when he was at the height of his powers, he had a specialty freezer built so that it would he could it was not a full freezer. It was just a sort of a box built on the side of a refrigerator that he could push his head into when it was wet, and then it would sort of flash freeze his hair up.
Little known fact, a little bit of trivia for everybody. The ninja rap scene in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, the movie, they had to have so many chill blasting fans on set to just combat the amount of hot lighting that would threaten, even in a short, musical interlude, to melt that beautiful bouffant haircut.
Yeah, they had to do a lot of precautions. A lot of people think that those chiller fans and things like that, coolers, were there for the people in the costumes, but no, it was specifically for Vanilla Ice's hair.
Also, if he gets too hot, he dies.
He's part reptile.
Vanilla flame attacks. He's a scorpion to Sub-Zero.
So we have not talked about Lady Ice enough. I think that it's probably about diamonds, and I'm only guessing that based on the poster art of a person sitting on a giant diamond.
That is about the least comfortable thing I can think about sitting on, because literally there's nothing harder than a diamond. Why would you want to sit on it?
Lady Ice is like a James Bond villain, like a Goldfinger or whatever. Like everything he touches turns to gold, like that kind of whole situation, except that all of her furniture is made of diamonds.
I hope it's not just a really boring movie about somebody like a sexually charged Donald Sutherland and Robert Duvall trying to fight over just a rich debutante who.
Every movie, I will tell you this: every movie that Donald Sutherland is in the 70s is sexually charged.
So sexually charged. but like she's like has a diamond inheritance family or something, blood diamonds.
Oh, I like that idea though. That actually sounds interesting. If that is the case, that could be. I mean, that could be great actually. If there is a love triangle between Donald Sutherland, Robert Duvall, and some lady who might have a lot of money.
Maybe it's like a documentary about the person who invented lab grown diamonds. And that's just the name she gave herself. Like, what do you do? Oh, I invented lab grown diamonds. They call me Lady Ice. And then like,
but Lady Ice is the name of a supervillain. Like that's a person who's bad. Like they're good. They have their own island with a volcano on it.
It means they have they have very few emotions, and those they do have are sharp and hard. But
I mean, that.
As much as I would love for her to be a character who has fingernails that are sharpened diamonds to claw her way into safes and stuff, Wolverine style, maybe to prickle at our other main characters and, you know, force them into a subdominance sexual orgy between Donald Sutherland and Robert Duvall and Lady Ice. This is the 70s. I just don't feel like this is 73 is a time frame for super villainous who has diamond cutting nails.
No, probably not. But what is the likelihood of some characters having sex on a bed full of diamonds? Like, we've all seen people rolling around in piles of money. We've seen Scrooge McDuck swimming around in his vat swimming around his vat of coins, but never have we seen people rolling around in a bed full of diamonds with diamonds strategically placed.
At that point, DuckTales is now they're reading the Duck comics, and they're like, "Oh man, look at that! Look at that! I got a duck swimming around that money, visceral. What if I had a Donald Sutherland fucking that money? What if that money was all diamonds?" This person is also high as fuck when they're writing this.
On crystal meth.
Did crystal meth exist back then, or just regular meth? Have we learned to crystallize it yet? Is there another kind of meth? Josh, tell me more about drugs.
I know nothing about them. I had to look this up on the internet. It's very bad. I am not I'm not very savvy when it comes to that.
You're not gonna do well at these Hollywood parties.
No, I know. It's gonna be very bad for me. I'm not.
They'll be like, "Do you want some ice?" And you're like, "For my drink?" Or what was that? Is that crystal meth or cocaine or heroin? And they'll be looking at you like,
"Yeah, yes, I will embarrass myself whenever there are parties that we are allowed to go to again."
You know, there was these theoretical things where people would gather. Once again, we're going to watch a movie where people can interact with each other, which is
I mean, if we're judging films by that, then like every film is a period piece now.
There's literally no show or movie that isn't a period piece because they haven't had time or the ability to make movies where people just hang out in their house. It's a horror movie where people go to the grocery store.
Oh, that's coming. You know that's coming.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, just wait until Hollywood can start making things again, and almost 100% guarantee each streaming service will have some sort of coronavirus themed film, whether it's a romantic comedy, a horror movie, a drama. Something will arise.
Zoom into you. That's what I'm going to name my one. Zoom into you. It's going to be sexually charged. Has Donald Sutherland in it.
I mean, Donald Sutherland now, still sexually charged, I think.
Always. That charge battery never goes out. It's like the Energizer Bunny, except for it's just humping and kind of
when they do that Hunger Games prequel. I think it's about his character, I believe, like his character that he played in those Hunger Games movies. They should just
the Hungry Man. It's what he played in those
movies. Everybody was hungry in all those districts, and he was just eating all of his meals by himself.
They're like, "Oh man, if we could only play games with this guy who's so hungry." The Hungry Man. He eats slightly bigger meals than everybody else.
I was gonna say in the Hunger Games prequel, they could have like him digitally de-aged, and it would be a uncanny valley of sexual energy.
Welcome to my, once we're past all these coronavirus romantic comedies, we can start the Uncanny Valley sexually charged movies.
Well,
they're called hentai.
Yeah, they'll just take all of your favorite stars and de-age them, or bring them back from the dead, like that James Dean war movie.
What if we just de-aged a ton of actors and then orgy? Just that's the movie. It's called Orgy.
Yeah,
takes place in the 70s.
Yeah, it's here's Brad Pitt and Olivia de Havilland all together.
What happens when Brad Pitt becomes actual Benjamin Button, like that age?
I mean,
we'll have to de-age him.
Yeah, we'll have to de-age him for the next Ocean's movie.
Well, Benjamin Button, the actor who played Benjamin Button.
Well, I think we are a little wildly off topic, but I think this is probably a good place to wrap up this mini episode, even though we've made no real predictions except that there will probably be a love triangle, maybe some diamonds, maybe a supervillain, and I think that's enough, right?
Sexually charged.
Sexually
That's
charged.
all we need to
That's
know
right.
about.
That's right.
I mean,
Sexually charged.
Watch this be like the most chaste movie we ever watched. Dan would be so upset.
And exactly. And we are going to be joined by Dan McCoy from the Flophouse. We're very excited to have him on the show, and we hope that you will join us next week when we talk all about Lady Ice. But until then, I've been Josh.
I've been Skinner.
And we predict you'll join us. If you like the show, subscribe, rate, and review us over at Apple Podcasts. We're on Twitter and Instagram at PredictoCast, and you can find our entire back catalog at predictocast.com. Our theme music is by Kyle Sledge. Find more of his work at soundcloud.com/geistmusic. To get monthly bonus content, sign up at patreon.com/predictocast. As always, thanks for listening.
What would you be called? Sir Ice? Mr. Ice? Man Ice?
Don Ice.
Don Ice. The nice ice of Don Ice.
Jack Ice.
For those chili jacking moments.